Hey, this is Gary with Jolly Dolly, and I'm going to show you how to change out a rear wheel or the rear wheel bearings on a motorized Jolly Dolly. First, we're going to remove the nut. We're going to use an 1 1/16 wrench here and an 1 1/8 socket. We'll go in reverse. Now we're going to remove the bolt, being careful to retrieve this spacer that's between the yoke and the wheel. Same thing on the other side. Don't lose these spacers. The wheel comes right out. This entire silver thing is the bearing, and the easiest way to get it out is to knock on it from the other side. So what I'm going to do is lay this down on these blocks. I'm going to take a 3/8 drive extension, and I'm going to put it through this bearing and touch it to the back side of the other bearing and knock on it with a hammer, and the bearing's going to pop right out. Then I'm going to flip this over and repeat the process. Give it a little whack. The bearing will come right out. If the bearings are seized, it may take a few more hits to get it out. This is our new bearing that's going in. When we put this in, we don't want to knock with a hammer on this part right here because that's going to break the bearing. We really need to knock on it on this surface here. And to do that, we're going to use this socket. This is 1 1/8 or 1 1/16 might work. And we're going to use this basically as a press. So I'm going to put the bearing right here, line the socket up with the outside, and gently tap on it with a hammer. You want to make sure it doesn't do that. You want to try to get it to go in straight. And you just got to take your time, a little trial and error. Some of these bearings will have an extremely tight fit, tighter than the factory bearings. If you're having trouble, you may need to clean this out. You can get a Scotch-Brite pad or even some sandpaper and try to maybe knock some of this powder coat back. That will help. This bearing looks like it's going to give me problems, so I'm going to show you what to do about it. I got some sandpaper. I'm going to go inside here, clean this up, see if we can get the bearing to go in a little bit easier. You can see we got a little bit over there that's still not flush. Again, avoid any temptation to knock directly on that because you will break the bearing. This one's in, we're ready for the other side. A lot of times these immediately try to start to go in not straight, and it can be some trial and error to get them straight. Sometimes you just got to knock on the side that's high to try to get them to go in properly. You can see this side is still high, so we'll put this back, knock on that side of it. Make sure the flange is flush with the hub all the way around. Sometimes this flange will break when you're trying to install the bearing, and then it's up to you if you want to replace it or just roll with it like it is. If you do it the way I'm recommending, you usually avoid breaking them. So these grease fittings, it's optional if you want to use these. The problem is when you pump grease into here, you're going to fill up this entire cavity with grease, and it's going to make a huge mess. Grease is going to leak out all the time. These bearings do have grease in them from the factory. They're supposed to be sealed. So I usually just recommend put the bearing in, run it until they fall apart, which hopefully will be a year or two, and then when necessary, change them. You can try to grease them. I'm just warning you, it's going to be a huge mess. All right, we're going to reinstall the wheel, so we make sure we have all our hardware ready, our 2 spacers and our lock nut, and of course our bolt. You can't put these spacers in once you've started the bolt in, so you do have to hold the wheel and hold the first spacer, thread the bolt through the yoke, through the spacer, into the wheel, and then work your way out the other end. You do have to have the spacer ready on the other side, and just kind of wiggle it if you're having trouble, get it all the way through. Then you take your lock nut and thread that on by hand. You have to have these spacers in place. If not, the wheel will rub. If you've lost them, contact us for replacements. Okay, now I'm going to tighten this back up. I am using a power tool, which is capable of tightening this way tighter than it needs to be. So you need to be careful if you're going to use the power tool. You can see right here, that's way too tight. I'm going to back off and try to get it to spin freely. Once it spins freely, that's the right tightness. This maybe had to back off a tiny bit. If you over tighten this too much like I just did, you can put stress on your bearing. When you're done, the rear wheel should spin freely, but you should not have any play in it. There shouldn't be a lot of rattle and no gaps in between here. If you have any questions, message our Facebook page. Thanks and have a jolly day.